Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to a special episode, a special edition of Nightcap Knowledge. My name is George Chuck Patterson. Tonight, I will be joined by Bartholomew Allen, Bert Jackson, and CJ Lawrence. We will be talking hazing, conversation amongst friends, special edition of Nightcap Knowledge. Nightcap Knowledge is live each and every Tuesday. You could give us a thumbs up, give us a subscribe, and leave a comment. We appreciate your feedback. We appreciate your conversation. Without further ado, let's get into the episode. Here we go. This is Nightcap Knowledge. Ladies and gentlemen, another episode of Nightcap Knowledge. It's a special one. It is a very, very peculiar time to be in for us right now. My name is George Chuck Patterson. I'm joined by, let me get Bert's name on the screen. We are joined by CJ and Bartholomew. Mac said he was going to allow this particular group of friends, and of course Mac is our friend and our brother and went to Tougaloo, but without saying too much, we're going to allow this conversation to be discussed amongst friends is the best way to say it. So guys, we are here, of course. We do need to do an introduction of Bart. This is your first time on Nightcap Knowledge, huh?
Yep, my first time on Nightcap Knowledge. What's up?
What's up? Oh, what's up? Okay. All right. But Bart, welcome to Nightcap Knowledge. You want to tell folks a little bit about yourself, your personal background, and then we'll go to CJ, and then we'll let Bert do his thing too.
Man, it's your boy B, Bart. Shoot.
That's about it.
Man. That's about it, man. I ain't got to. If you don't know me by now, you just don't know me, man. I just don't. I'm so tired of introducing myself, man. Yeah, they know me already, man. If they don't, then I guess they'll find out in about 5 seconds.
About 5 seconds?
5 seconds, man.
What's good, everybody? I'm CJ Lawrence. I'm the CEO of Black with No Chaser. Also been a civil rights criminal defense attorney for about 17 years now. And in addition to that, I'm also a member of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated and have been that for almost 24 years. So,
no, not.
This is true.
Wow.
That nigga old.
Oh, that's gonna be interesting.
Very much so. Shout out to Owen. The 01 fraternity.
The 01 fraternity. Why y'all put Bert on here? I just thought about it, man. We should have prepped before we got Bert up on here, man.
Yeah, because you know 01 got secrets.
I know, man. I'm just saying we should have prepped.
Hold on, wait, that don't sound right. So what about Chuck? Oh, Chuck.
Oh, Chuck. And Chuck. It's and Chuck. It's 01 and Chuck. Yeah. And sometimes Bert.
Sometimes it's fine. I appreciate the arrogance. It's cool.
Go, Bert.
Oh, my bad. I'm sorry.
I told you.
Past my bedtime. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Bert Jackson, 20-year therapist, counselor. And I know these guys by default.
Okay. All right.
Could be a lot of
bruh. All right. So look, let me do this.
Bro.
So before we get into the topic and the discussion at hand, I must, and Mac asks that we do this. We have to give a shout out to former Mississippi State Representative Robert G. Clark Jr. Representative Clark served in the Mississippi House from 1968 to 2004, representing the 47th district. He was the first African-American member of the Mississippi legislature since 1894. I'm going to throw a graphic up so we can, one, recognize him, but he was funeralized today. So we definitely want to, wish our condolences, pass our condolences to his family, but also, to give a shout out to our trailblazers and folks that have done things in times that were difficult. And I think that kind of sets the stage for us. We are truly in difficult times, and not only just with regard to the conversation that we're about to have, but we are also in the midst of a tumultuous time as it relates to where we live in the world. So the conversation at hand tonight, we are discussing the tragic and untimely death of Caleb Wilson. And Caleb was seeking membership in one of the Divine Nine organizations. And all of us happen to be members of this organization. Now, I must give this disclaimer. We do not represent the fraternity. We are not official representatives. We are friends having a conversation. What was that? Did anybody hear that other than me and Bert?
No, I heard that. Like a little.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know.
Bart probably got reptiles in his house.
Bart does. He has a.
Bro, why do we bring Bert on again? I'm telling you.
All right. So, but as I was saying, we are in no official capacity. We do not represent anything that the fraternity. I do not hold any position in any local chapter, nor any state, district, or international. So with that being said, we are here as friends. We're having a conversation because we believe, as some of our fellow Tougalooan, I'm just gonna tuck mine in over here.
I took mine in already, but it don't matter because CJ put 01 up there.
Oh, listen, dog. I mean, listen. When we standing on it, this my position, dog, on it, and I'm gonna just be. It's gonna be like this.
Chuck got his shield in the background.
Yeah, if I'm gonna be out here tonight, dog, I'm standing on it. I'm standing.
Yeah, 100%.
He already put the disclaimer out there. We don't represent.
Yeah, we good. So
we don't represent
formulating opinions about our experience and what we think about it.
Yeah.
Official capacity.
So that's that. Now, let's dig into it. So we're here, and I guess we kind of arrived at this moment because, independent of the group that's assembled here, I had a conversation with my LBs, and for the record, I pledged in 2000. That's 98, and then we got 01. Had a conversation with my LBs, just kind of like us sharing our thoughts around the whole situation between, at the time it was Caleb and Caleb. And then, here recently there were two more bros that have been brought in by law enforcement, and they have been charged, and they I think bail has been set. And bros are having conversations around how to support these brothers with their legal proceedings that are impending. There are also conversations that are being had around how did this happen? How did we arrive in this situation where we should be, kind of commenting and celebrating a line that should have been probating at Beta Sig, but instead we're now in a conversation where we're mourning a young man who went to HBCU, played in an HBCU band, who has a family that cares about him, who has friends, classmates, bandmates that are in a very difficult situation. And it has our community. And I'm saying our community because we all went to HBCUs. We are members of a fraternity, and we have young people who we've also entrusted to Greek letter organizations and colleges and universities on multiple levels. So I felt it was appropriate to write about it from my perspective, and from having conversations with Bart, CJ, 2000, and then and even a couple of brothers outside of our home chapter. We find ourselves here tonight on Nightcap Knowledge, and we're talking about hazing, and hazing from the standpoint of or from through the vantage point of how did we arrive in this moment, what do we need to do moving forward. And I think one of the most important points for me, and I wrote about this, we need to know what to do in difficult situations. We need to be prepared to handle difficult situations. Even when we're not doing things that we intend to cause trauma or difficulty or anything like that, we still need to be prepared. So to just kick it off, piss poor preparation promotes pain. And I think in a lot of instances, we find ourselves in a situation where we're dealing with pain because we haven't been able to adequately prepare. So I would like to throw it to the oldest brother in the room to kind of kick us off, and Doc, you just give us your thoughts, and then we can kind of have a round robin conversation and really dig into what is hazing, what is pledging, is there a blurry line? Like, how do we know what's what? Let's get with some personal opinions, and then we'll go around the room with that, and then dig into the conversation with some questions.
First off, prayers and strength to Caleb and his family. And I think Chuck spoke on it, but any bruh or any member of our fraternity, it definitely has hit home kind of different. Because I think, and not to make any less light of it, if it was another organization, you would look at it and be like, oh, we feel bad for that organization. But I think, it doesn't carry the same weight when you have a direct correlation of the organization and knowledge of what probably transpired. No, we weren't there, but everybody has their experiences. And like CJ said earlier, if we're going to have a conversation, let's have a conversation. Let's not pity pat around. Let's just speak to what is.
That's real.
My experience has been a little bit different. I have been on both sides of the fence, and without incriminating myself, I look at it a little bit different. My entrance into the fraternity was strange, peculiar, but never queer. Odd. So, but it's given me an opportunity, like I said, to see every side of the prism. I just feel that so many different layers of it. And we'll get into that, I'm sure, as the night progresses. His dad being a member of our organization. The layers of it, as you said, him being a member of the band. And we know, there's allegations of hazing and pledging inside of bands in HBCUs. And what, like Chuck said, what should have been by now for them, they were about to probate, a joyous, wonderful occasion, and we're in mourning looking at it from hindsight. And I've, like I said, I've been on all sides of the spectrum. I've been the DP, I've been the ADP, I've been the advisor. So, but on the other side, I've been involved in situations that would probably be less than smiled upon. Nothing that, was illegal, but just things that were odd, strange, and never queer.
Jump in there, Owen. Anybody?
Okay.
You the next oldest.
First, again, I want to extend my condolences to Caleb Wilson's family. And that, bro, it's incredibly tragic, and it was from the moment that I initially heard about it. My feelings were hurt about what happened to Caleb and the loss of his life. It was hurt even more so when I began to understand the possibility of the organization that I am a part of and love dearly was connected to it. And so starting there, man, I will say that it's been difficult and challenging to process this in a way that that I don't think I've dealt with before. And I shared with Bart earlier, man, that oftentimes, and I know this might frustrate some people, but I'm okay with that. Oftentimes we challenge police for the way that they conduct themselves after the killing of young black men, and we talk about the fraternity of their silence in those instances. And I think it would be hypocritical, if that's the right way to phrase it, for us to in turn remain silent in instances where something has occurred that we know, we know someone has been wronged because someone is no longer here as a result. With those things being said, with that laying the table, I also want to state I'm trying to look at this from the perspective of, as a defense attorney, people have a right to be innocent until proven guilty.
Right.
So when I discuss anything, even if I discuss it as facts as I know them to be from what I have only read about, I am qualifying those things as allegedly, not because I am trying to dispute the facts of them, but because it's important to state allegedly because I do not know the actual facts in their totality. And so with that being said, I think that there's a lot of room for a lot of work and a opportunity and time for reimagining how there can still be ways to build with young men and women without brutality in any type of way being attached, toxicity being attached, danger that can cause someone the life being attached. Not talking about simply freak accidents, but I'm talking about actual subjecting of people to violence, actual subjecting of people to physical harm that can subsequently result in injury and or death. I think we have the luxury of perspective that time has given us.
Yeah,
and I understand that. But I also understand that with time comes the opportunity for change, for improvement, for evolution. And I think that where we stand now at this crossroads, we are looking at this moment and saying, this is an opportunity, sadly, to evaluate what's going on across the board and make dramatic and significant changes that still create opportunity for character to be built. And the reason that I say that is because I would never deny or take away the way that having an experience, like the experience that I personally had, that I can speak to. Not every aspect of the experience. I could have done without some aspects of the experience and still had it build my character, to be real with you.
Agreed.
But to say, but for, I can't personally deny that there are things about the experience that I personally had that have assisted me many times in difficult situations to be prepared for those situations in ways and manners that I don't think that I would have been had I not experienced some of the things that I personally experienced that have allowed me a frame of reference to lean upon when in times of turmoil or struggle personally.
Okay. Go for it, Bart.
Man, this is hard. This has been hard for what, a week now? A little more than a week. We've had conversations after conversations. Even my daughter, she's a Zeta from UT Knox. We've had conversations over and over and over again in so many different aspects. And at the end of the day, my heart is heavy. And it's heavy for a lot of different reasons. It's heavy from a father's perspective. I cannot fathom the idea of someone calling me and telling me that my son or daughter is no more, especially from inside of my house, meaning my organization. That is that is a burden I don't wish upon anyone. Um, then there's the aspect of actually being inside the fraternity. I can honestly say and attest to everything else that's been said. It's one of the greatest things that has ever happened to me. It honestly is, but it is flawed, and not just this fraternity, but other things I've been a part of. It's flawed because humans are flawed, and it sucks because when those flaws present themselves, you have issues like this that happen. I think that there must be an evolution of some sort. Um, I think real conversation needs to be had, and and a lot of people are asking why this conversation isn't happening out loud. I think it's important to understand like what our organization is. Our organization has been around since 1911, um, and we have a very strict code. And then this is very simple. We handle our business, and we handle it behind closed doors for a reason. There are things that we don't want revealed for whatever reason. Those conversations need to be happening right now. They need to be happening, and it doesn't occur on an official level. It doesn't occur for the grand boss list. It occurs in the back rooms, in the darkness. But someone has to say something. They have to say it because at some point, I have a son, and if he is fortunate enough, hopefully he goes to Tougaloo. Lord knows, I hope he goes to Tougaloo. And if he goes to Tougaloo, and hopefully he meets Jackson and McCrae at some point. And if I really want them to be a part of PE. And I'm not just saying this because I am biased. I am PE. But PE is like, they're real friends. Like, it's friendship. I I want him to have the experiences, the good experiences that I had, like the true friendships. But I can guarantee you, dog, if anything happens to that baby,
Yeah.
I'm burning this entire world down. You can put that on record.
It's
I don't
different.
care who it is. Everybody got to get this work because my heart changes just like that. It changes from gold boot wearing, cowboy boot wearing, to a father who is missing something deep down inside. And at the end of the day, I think that's what matters most. A family is hurting, and they're probably not getting the comfort that they probably need. And hopefully, this conversation it doesn't. I don't think we're trying to reveal secrets or processes. Nothing like that.
No.
It's not
What
that
we're
kind of
trying to do
conversation.
is say that there is an issue that needs to be resolved across the spectrum. And hopefully this conversation opens up a deeper conversation for people.
But
Yeah.
oh, Bert, were you about to say something, dog?
No. Go ahead. You good.
No. I can wait. I can go after you, CJ.
No, I was just gonna say, and I think that it's really important. Like I see a lot of Greek letter organizations, particularly I see our organization getting defensive about how people feel about this shit right now. And I think this ain't the time for us to be on the defense with regard to how we speak to this issue. It's not a time to shrink or hide. It's a time to apply the lessons that we've learned. When you up against the trouble, meet it squarely face to face, right? Like I think that this is that moment where we don't have to play into the politics or bullshit people.
Yeah.
We don't have to try to be semantic with people. We have to really recognize, like, it's a problem when somebody dies, dog.
Right.
It's undeniably a fucking problem.
Especially when it's a black man, a young black man trying to get an education in a world that's already challenging.
He was about to be an engineer, and
no, it hurts.
Yeah,
dog. It hurts.
That's as I was saying earlier. On so many different layers, it's losses. It's losses all the way across the board.
Yeah, because the other side of it is this: like now you potentially have 3 guaranteed slaves for the state of Louisiana.
Absolutely.
That's that, and see,
and
we're not even talking about that. I know it's hard to see. I'm just gonna be real. I've been that person. I've been that person who's trying to bring people into something.
Yeah,
and when
we
you're
all have,
and things. Go ahead, CJ. You go ahead.
No, you go ahead, dog.
I was just saying, I've been that person, and things could have gone bad at certain times.
Right.
All of us got that same situation,
and that means that every last person on here, things could have got bad quickly.
For the grace of God.
But dog, it was our ignorance, it was our youth, it wasn't ill intentions. It was things could have got bad, and so I could have easily, you could have been, then people could have been on the other side. 3 black men, or how many men are actually allegedly charged. Their life is over with for a long period of time. Yeah, for trying and I don't know them to say that.
Yeah.
And here's the other thing, and CJ can probably speak to this better than anybody. There's a lot of obvious that we're discussing.
Yeah.
But as I keep saying, and this is me always being in my mind of the different layers that we're not even attaching. Okay. We all know beta seed probates in the spring.
Yeah.
It was the 1st of March. Usually it's within the first, it's in March.
Yeah.
So
before after spring break.
Before after spring break. So in my calculations and my representations with beta seed, by the way, hella 5 bros, great chapter, longevity. I know some very good bros. Most of the bros I know from that chapter are good. I feel bad for them. What is their legacy? What is their legacy now? And what about, and we know how the process goes, they've already sent their money in. Those guys who died, the trauma of his line brothers.
Right.
They ain't never gonna forget this. Mm-hmm. Never. And then their money was already sent in. So what the frat gonna do with that?
Right.
There's so many different layers of shit going on with this.
So, I mean, y'all have explored a lot of layers from the psychological to just the practical layers. And to be honest with you, I really do have empathy for everybody that was involved in this, because I don't believe that this started out as a night where anyone intended for the night to end the way that it ended.
Definitely don't think it was malicious.
I have hella empathy for everyone involved. I believe that the act itself was accidental, the initial act.
Right.
I believe that was accidental. I don't believe that was intentional. But in criminal law, and I'm not trying to lay criminal law upon anybody in any way or condemn anyone, but in criminal law, you have a mens rea, which is the mental state of a person at the time of a crime, and you have an actus reus, which is the act itself that has to be completed. Both of these are elements, and like the math problem, each element must be satisfied in order for a crime to exist.
Right.
In this instance, perhaps it's not the act, the underlying act, which still is should have been avoidable. At this point in time, allegedly, someone was punched. Allegedly, Caleb Wilson was punched in his chest, and that resulted in physical complications that led to him becoming unconscious. At that point in time, everything else has to go out the fucking window. Everything else has to go out the window. Ain't no getting your story straight. Ain't no fixing that shit. Because at that point, when you start trying to get your story straight, now you got a new act, because you have failed to intervene. Because you have failed to render aid to the person whose condition was created by a circumstance.
Right.
And when your behavior drifts into that place, I understand fear again, but that's one of the unique things about what this thing has taught us. And I'm doing my best not to be a hypocrite in this moment.
Oh, I'm a hypocrite. I ain't gonna lie to you, man. I'll be the first to tell you.
But I'm doing my best to not be that. But
I understand.
When you are afraid in that moment, you have to do what's right. Like you can't try to perfect it. And I don't know what the facts are. I do not know what the facts are. But I knew when I read the initial story. I knew when I read the initial story.
We all knew. It's shady as hell from the beginning.
I don't nothing about that shit sound like
every initiated, dog, you know what happened. You know where they were, what was happening. It's sad, dog. Like I ain't gonna lie to you. I feel bad because I'm a hypocrite. Because
real time.
And this is the reason why I'm a hypocrite. And I'll be the first to say it to anyone who knows me. I hear the stories of being a Q dog before I'm a Q dog.
Yeah.
Those stories are maybe exacerbated, but they are planted deeply into the very sinew of my consciousness. And so now I'm thinking about the excitement and the stories that I could personally have. And then I go and fulfill those stories, and I have my own stories, and it makes me, part of me is happy because I have become better. I can literally walk into a room full of dogs, look them squarely in the face, and not flinch. In fact, I can go into a room full of dogs or into a conference room. I can go into difficult conversations where people I know do not like me, who do not have my best interests.
Yeah.
I can be an activist. I can stand up for Black people because of that experience. Now, I'm not saying that experience solely,
but
I know what it's done. Yeah, but it has like night at times going through over and over again. You don't become scared. Now you become confident. You become ready to battle what's in front of you.
Because you have been there.
Because you've been there. Exactly. But then in that same breath, I'm going to tell my family, I'm going to tell my son, big dog, I ain't going to lie to you. Your goal is to come home. Yeah. I don't care what they call you.
At all
I don't care what they may say about you behind your back. Your goal is to fulfill God's promise for you to be an amazing man and to save whatever you're supposed to save.
And
And
if a
those two
mega,
might conflict. They
they
might butt
will at
heads.
one time they will. But to circle back, and I guess this is giving me a safe space to express the truth. Every bruh from Maine to Compton, California, that was initiated when that story first came out was like, oh hell no.
Yeah.
And what made it not so much oh hell no, we automatically knew from the door it was janky. And then I want to give it 3 degrees, but hell no, maybe 1 or 2 degrees of separation in that story in real time. There ain't what nobody had to tell you. Everybody on this line and every bruh that I know could identify with that story immediately.
And then there's a pressure on men of Omega to do stuff a certain way so that you have a certain appeal to the rest of the world.
To the stereotypes, dog.
I'm trying to be good.
I'll tell that
so there is the pressure of when people think of a cute dog, they thinking of biting booties. I'm not saying it's right. You need to have consent. They thinking of biting booties. They thinking about fatigue. They thinking about gray. They think about gold boots. They think about purple. There are things that they think about. And so those things, they get lodged into the organization to the point where in order to earn those things, you have to do certain things. And there is no other way to get those things unless you do certain things. If you don't do those things to get those things,
you ain't getting
then you
those
will be
things.
called something. Or you will be looked at in a particular way, which means that your ideal of what you were trying to get,
you're not doing it.
You're not getting that anymore.
You ain't getting what you thought you was getting.
You're not getting what you got. You're getting an entirely different world, and that's not just that's anywhere in life in general.
It's almost a world you don't even want to be a.
No, it's a whole nother world. It is.
You don't know what you don't know till it's too late.
Yeah, it's too late. It's a world of darkness for a long time. Not saying that you don't survive the darkness, but it is a different world. It's almost like you need to go through the front door and meet the entire family. Because if you try to go through the back door and go get you a plate and someone catch you, it's gonna be a problem. Like, who are you getting this plate out my kitchen? Like, I don't know you. Don't you put them yams and the macaroni and cheese down until you come meet Big Mama. Big Mama needs to know everybody who come through her door because a couple different reasons why.
Either put the plate down or
I thought there was a raccoon behind you, CJ. I was going to say, get that motherfucking raccoon.
But dog.
Oh my gosh, dog.
Phoenix came out of nowhere. You so cat.
That was a raccoon.
That was my
I thought
cat.
the window was open and a raccoon came in.
That was Phoenix, right?
Yeah, that was
cat named Phoenix.
Yeah, that was Phoenix.
Oh, I thought that was a raccoon, my guy.
Oh my God.
Phoenix tried to
that man almost got taken out by a raccoon. How you gonna get to the pearly gates and tell them a raccoon took you out the game? I'm sorry, dog. I'm sorry. Focus, Bart. Bart.
Right. But everybody was thinking the same thing. What the hell was that?
I know you would.
I know my eyes did like that.
But seriously, man, like what you're saying and being subjected to the peer pressures associated with it, the stigmas that's associated with it, with being an outcast or pariah as a result of the way that organizations in many ways work. I mean, like,
make it plain.
From organization to organization, each one has their unique aspects, but that's a component of them. Technically, since 1992, all organizations,
we're not supposed to be doing that
at all.
No organization. That's why they do the intake processes the way they do, because people was dying back then, and they were trying to alleviate how that was going down. Obviously, people continue to do things that
underground,
right, that subjected others to things like serious bodily harm and possibly also in some rare instances death. And so I don't think we can dismiss that. I don't think we can be dismissive about that. I do think that there's opportunity for growth. There's opportunity for redemption. there's opportunities for drastic and dramatic improvement, but it's going to require some soul searching, some real soul searching amongst the bros and really organizations in general. But I'm speaking specifically for, I'm not speaking on behalf of, but I'm speaking to what I know.
Right.
And it's going to require some soul searching because of the old way and the old guard and the old way of thinking about things versus
and it's going to have to be real conversations. It can't be surface conversations either.
No.
So look, let me jump in right here because we talking around a lot of things. All right. Is there a difference between hazing, pledging, and how do you do one without the other? Is there a way to do one without the other? Like, let's start right there. Go, CJ.
One.
Did you raise your hand?
Yes.
Nigga did raise his hand.
One, I'm gonna say this, dog. I don't know if there's a difference between hazing and pledging because I only know what I know and what I've seen. So I can't say that I can only speak to that, but that's what I can speak to.
That's your personal experience. That's your lived experience.
With that being said, I have seen some things where people have been. Mr. Jason Wilson, who runs the Cave of Adullam, which is a martial arts school for young men, has and I can't remember the name of his newest book, but The Man the Moment Requires, I think is the name of his new book. And I hope he doesn't mind me calling his name out because he reminds me of a lot of the great things that men of Omega Psi Phi represent. The good things, manhood, scholarship, perseverance, uplift. You know what I mean? Like, and you see all of those things play out in the way that he builds these young men up. I've seen you with Jackson and with McCray in the way that you are with them with sports and things like that, and how you assign them tasks that they set out to achieve, and they become goals that they understand. I'm again go back to Mr. Jason Wilson. There's an example of him with a young boy in a video that he posted recently, where the young man is doing, he's a boy doing push-ups, right? Yeah. And as he's doing these push-ups, he begins to cry. And Mr. Wilson is talking with him through it and saying that's okay. It's okay to cry. That pain that you feel is real, but it's also a part of life. Right now, the pain is controlling you. What we're doing is learning to push through the pain, not suppress it. We're gonna cry through it. We're gonna accept those tears, but we're gonna learn how to move past the pain so that we then in turn learn how to control the pain. Yeah. And so I think that there are ways to build young men and women up utilizing good lessons that don't require violence or brutality or toxicity, that can be applied and applicable without having to do things that's going to potentially cost someone their lives.
Yeah.
You're ready. Go ahead. I'm sorry, my bad.
No problem, dog.
What'd you say, Bert?
I was just getting ready to say, and I was looking at these responses as we're going through. Theoretically, there is a significant difference between pledging and hazing, but the difference is, I believe, is that the lines get blurred based on people's behavior, based on regulation, and based on situations, and here we go again. If we just gonna speak truth to it, lack of sober judgment. You talking about drugs being introduced, you talking about alcohol being introduced. Yeah. And I'm not saying nothing that nobody doesn't know, but just imagine another layer. Imagine all of our processes if there was no drugs or alcohol present during any of the process. The significant difference that would have been. And I keep referring back to it. And Bart, I feel you. Y'all are aspiring, and the Lord's gonna say the same. If my nieces and nephews attend Tougaloo College, right now I'm at that stage of my life where my daughter's at college, and it's the other side of the coin And her mother is a member of Delta Sigma Theta. And I kept finding it, and this is my own truth, to be at peace or with it, because I don't have the stress of my son attempting to pledge Rho Epsilon. And when I look at brothers who have children who have come through, the sons who have come through the chapter, nephews who have come through the chapter, I kind of find it at peace. But it's the same thing on the other side, because, as Bart said, there's probably in priority, there is nothing, thank God, that I am a member of this fraternity. I wouldn't change my process for $1 million, but I wouldn't do it again for $1 million either. Because looking at it, hindsight, I'm sure we all got this same conversation. What the hell was you thinking? I ask myself that all the time, because if you really look at it as a therapist, and when we have these conversations and we joking and we laughing,
right,
therapeutically speaking, it is trauma. We all
Most definitely.
Because like right now, to this day, I get up every hour on the hour. I can't sleep a complete hour. I haven't slept a complete hour since 1998. And I know where that comes from.
Yeah.
No, you go ahead, CJ.
But I'm just speaking my truth though.
No. And so your truth comes at a time where it's important to realize what this process does to you. And so from a physical perspective and from a mental perspective, and even from a spiritual perspective, if not done right, or if people don't understand the quote unquote power they have at that moment, then you can inflict a lifelong trauma on a person that doesn't heal. And so the question then becomes this: I knew when I became a man, I knew when like it hit me, and I just told CJ them this. I was in DC. I left Tougaloo, was in DC. I was thinking about getting the PhD at Georgetown. Something happened at home, and I realized after I finished with the program, I realized I'm going to have to stop my life to come back home to take care of it. Something happened. Like I felt me being a man. It's the weirdest thing ever. It transformed. I was a boy living the life, leaving Mississippi, leaving California. And so the question then becomes, and that was at 25. So I pledged at, how old was I when I pledged?
19.
I'm not 19. So
I don't know. I wouldn't know.
And you know what? I didn't pledge. So I'm wondering. You kick rocks, dog. So I'm wondering, does the question become: do you want a child raising a child, or do you want a grown man raising a child that hasn't become a man yet? You know what I'm saying? So do you want a 19 trying to teach an 18-year-old, or do you want a 25-year-old Bart teaching how to not beating anybody? I'm not talking about beating anybody. I'm talking about, CJ mentioned earlier about just having that sense of confidence. I know now, right now, the way that I raise my son, the way I raise my girls, I've made their life strategically difficult at times to teach a lesson. And so I remember very vividly, so that she'll never forget. My oldest, we were trying to go to Chick-fil-A. She'd been wanting Chick-fil-A for a long time. And so I played up the game for a long time. It was Sunday. She didn't know Chick-fil-A was closed on a Sunday. And so the whole day I said, we going to Chick-fil-A. Until she realized when we got in the car that Chick-fil-A closed on Sundays. She will never not forget that whole process. I made it hard for her. I got her excited, whatever. It was a bad dad joke probably, but nonetheless, I didn't have to force anything. It was just a way of teaching her a lesson. I think, do you want your child being raised by another young Bart? Young Bart was not good. I'll be the first to admit it. Young Bart was young.
Yeah.
I was ignorant, and because I had a certain position in the fraternity, a position that I would like to think that gave me an edge over other people when you get a position that you may have earned, then I'm thinking I gotta make somebody else follow in my footsteps. Like I earned this because I did this, and that for this long period of time. If you gonna be this position, you gotta do the same thing. And I think that young Bart was stupid. He was. He was honestly stupid because
maybe not stupid, but maybe like I think it's the
Immature,
proper
like,
word. You said ignorant.
yeah,
I was ignorant, and I
And we
regret
all,
those things.
and that's not pointing a finger at you. We all have been ignorant because back to what I
reckless.
said,
Yeah,
you don't
Yeah.
know what you don't know.
bro.
But as I said, I'm kind of in a unique situation with y'all because Chuck being my immediate Neo, and then
Y'all,
I was different with them than I was with you all because it was an evolution. Now, as I said, my pledge process, you couldn't pay me $1,000 a day to do it again, but it gave me, and you were 1,000%. I can walk in a room full of sharks and not give a damn and command the room.
yeah,
Every single time.
But in our fraternity, and I can speak, and I've had these conversations with other members of orgs too. Our fraternity is not going to do, in the process involved in getting into the fraternity, is not going to do anything but magnify what's already in you.
right.
So if you was a sissy poo before and you couldn't have direct eye contact,
Just said sissy.
sissy poo. I
Yeah.
put poo on. But I
we
mean,
got a sense of Bert from now on, bro. It's embarrassing, dog.
hey, you can't be honest about it. Y'all know
You
what
know,
I'm
you
talking
good.
about.
I'm
Yeah, I
messing
know
with
what
you.
you're talking about.
But if you was an asshole, you just gonna be a bigger asshole. Our fraternity is very unique in magnifying in whatever is in you.
Right.
But to you all, as I was coming through the process from 2000, I'll say from 2000 to 2000.
Shout out to my big brother, man. Shout out to Red.
Hey, Red,
Oh,
what's up,
Red, what's going on with
Yeah,
you?
yeah.
To,
91.
to
That
2000
nigga, oh, that nigga found her.
to,
Red.
to 2004. As we said, I was going on what I was taught or what I was thinking. Look, this is the tradition, but I never questioned the tradition.
If you
Like,
pass
what is
down generational curses
Right.
generational
Right.
curses? Is the
Right.
same shit,
from
and people
But-
don't.
But that leads to the question is like all of these quote unquote efforts and these policies that have been in place. Hazing has it has persisted. So why is it that like hazing has been okayed as a part of fraternity culture
Because
or in military or sports or whatever?
I think there was something that Maria said earlier was good. I think that hazing has persisted because the pledging process was completely outlawed, essentially. And so I think it might have been better to regulate a pledging process than to, like, for there to be like things that you could report, upholding the values of the organization, scholarship, service. Like, if there were things that could be, I'm not saying implementing more bureaucracy into the process, but I'm saying that if you know it's like this, bro. If you know people gonna smoke weed, whether it's legal or not, why not just legalize it and regulate? Do you see what I'm saying? Like, why not legalize it and implement policies that help to regulate? If you consider that if you consider that from a pledging or perspective, if there were ways to potentially have more regulations over the process, understanding that, like, okay, y'all talking about doing what? No, that ain't gonna work. X that out. That
Now you said you're speaking as though you might be a big brother or a bigger brother, an older bro, pro fight chapter bro, and the young bros.
Yes, but or an authoritative body. Actually, I'm saying
Okay.
even if it was a authoritative body in which, and again, I'm suggesting things not because I want hazing to persist, but I was asked what kind of teachable actions or actionable things can be done, and I'm saying if people are going to do it whether we want them to or not. Is there a way that the things that they do, the nature of the things that they do, we have an ability to regulate that? They have to like basically we're gonna make it to where you can come out of the shadows on doing stuff, but what the stuff, the magnitude of stuff you do. You know?
If I'm not mistaken, earlier, you know, when you were going through the play years ago in the 80s and the 70s, the different processes, pledging openly was allowed.
Yeah,
right.
And like school days, or
like 04. Them boys above ground.
A different world. Yeah.
Wasn't it with I think with Josh and them?
No, that started with
it was 04.
It was 04.
You talk about Johnson with the Lampados 2.0.
Like technically, dog, you can't even do what they was doing on school days. After MIP, you going to jail. Doing on school days when they was coming out on the yard lined up.
Yeah,
you going to jail.
The actual process, like
unless you went to Tougaloo in 2004.
Right, those things were not things that you could do.
Yeah.
So I mean, like things like the Lampados Club did exist. Like there's a history of this, and so that's essentially what I'm saying is like, are there ways, dog, to?
But here's what we're
people like shirk at the idea of it,
but here's a conversation that I think that needs to be addressed, a part of the conversation. The appeal. We're ignoring the appeal.
That's right, Willie.
We on the other side of it, and the same thing that brokered us or attracted us to the purple and gold was that before. Tell me, any one of you, if you disagree, tell me prior to you even getting into college, you know about the bros, and as before you had heard stories, so you made a concerted effort, and it's no different than the people coming behind us. Look, I can carry myself a little bit different. The appeal of going through this process that I know probably is not as it should be. But if I can get to the other side of this and the other side of the coin, for me personally, I don't care. I've seen bros prior to me becoming a member of the organization. If that Negro can be in the organization, I know damn well I can make it.
And so Bert, to that's what I want to make sure that we're addressing, because although CJ may have presented a way to possibly make this a little bit less,
I think that's out right there.
Difficult.
Shout out to Willie Davidson.
New Ado tell lies all the time.
I think as men, I think especially our organization, if you are Q, and I know we got alphas and noobs and everybody on here right now. If you are a Q, I think the world sees, and I promise y'all, to my best friends that in every other organization,
I already know what you're going to say.
Qs, you see, oh, that's what a man's supposed to be. You know what I'm saying? And to each other, to the bros, we say that's why we have march downs. That's why we compete. How long is it going to take for a chapter to say? You are competing 24/7, and so.
Don't forget, you will see some tussling amongst the only fraternity I know where you will see open fights.
I know it shouldn't be no tussling. Why are we saying tussling, man? You're so old, bro. It shouldn't be no tussling in front of everybody.
Everybody
tussling because number one, because we are the man fraternity, we are proving something.
You sound so sexist.
I hate you, dog. And so I just don't think that pledging out loud is going to change anything, because if I'm marching, like for example, when Chuck was marching, and I'll tell y'all this right here, when I saw Bert marching, I was embarrassed. I said, "No, the brothers can't march like Bert." And so, or Carlos, I said, "No, the brothers can't march like them." But then we were online. I'm not saying we online. I'm sorry. We were doing something, and Chuck was showing me what you want me to say, CJ? All right, then we were online. Chuck was hopping. All right,
you been in
Chuck,
this motherfucking shit for 24
man,
years.
shut up, man.
What
Shut up,
you
man.
mean?
So Chuck is marching. Chuck, being the hot dog, is showing us marches. I said,
And you just couldn't catch on, huh? Because he had better angle.
In my mind, I said, I could be better than Chuck because that's the best thing I've seen. No one told me to be better than Chuck. No one ever said that.
But I thought you ain't like the fraternity.
I don't like you. And so in my mind, I said, let me try to be better than Chuck. And then if I saw somebody else march, it was that competition. No one told me to be that. That's the same thing with
is that healthy competition?
Huh?
Is that a healthy competition, or is it?
It is the flaw of man. It is the flaw of man.
The flaw of man.
Right. Yeah, it's the flaw of man. So for a long time, I did behavioral observations in children. My behavioral observations in children happened for about 5 years. The one thing that was consistent across the board, I'm talking about, I don't care if you white, black, purple, or brown. If you put 2 boys on the playground, 3 boys on the playground, 4 boys, somebody's going to try to lead. Somebody's going to say, I can run faster. Someone say, I can jump. They're going to say, watch this. No matter what happens. Though men are supposed to be mature, we still do it. We do it to this day. Yeah. In fact, when Chuck had on, what did Chuck have on, CJ? He had on that blue jean, black with no chaser jacket one time. In my mind, I know.
Paying attention to the clothing.
Heck y'all know I'm Big Smooth. Stop playing. But in my mind, I said, Chuck, like he's smooth with that jacket on. I'm gonna be smooth when I get me. I'm gonna be smoother. There's no reason for me to say that other than, or Bert had them. Bert had them purple and gold J's. That's when the brothers weren't even doing that. But Bert, I was like, I'm gonna be smoother than Bert when I give me some purple and gold.
So, look. So you talk about so the thing is bro, making boys better or making men better or whatever can't be the catalyst if better means you got beat worse. If the catalyst is
I agree with that.
If you got beat worse, more people had a chance
to see you
and you happen to survive a fucking beating. That cannot be the measuring rod for what it is to be a true man of Omega Psi Phi or any organization, man or woman.
I think we're talking about, not to cut you off, CJ, but I think we're talking about the layers of hazing. So what is acceptable? So like, for example,
hold on. I think there should be no level of hazing acceptable.
Yeah.
But what if someone is running? And I'm not saying this is let's say you never touched this particular person.
Give an example.
Huh?
Give the example that you're giving.
Okay, then. So let's say, what's my guy's name?
Jason Wilson.
Jason.
I gave, the kid was doing push-ups.
Exactly. So in the example that CJ gave, and for a disclaimer before it goes viral or anything, I love that black man. Like that black man is doing what I do to my son, what was done to me and my family. It's a healthy lesson to be learned. But let's just say in that same example, Jason is teaching this young black man that through your tears, you are, you're pushing through it. You're persevering through it. But let's say that young black man died. That boy died while doing the push-ups.
In the dojo.
Let's say he died in the dojo while doing push-ups. No one touched him, but he's learning a particular skill that you have to train in. Like you have to go through that process. Do we look at Jason differently if that young boy dies? Do we say that his process is flawed? Are we still saying this because no one dies or because someone dies? Does that make sense?
There's some form.
That's a good question.
Of work, effort given in anything worth having, and I'm thinking back when I was playing football.
Yeah,
some of that shit could have definitely been considered hazing,
right,
or pledging.
The Oklahoma drill.
That shit is.
Well, I don't know about that, man. You need that.
But then, and then
the bull in the ring,
bull in the ring.
Bull in the ring. Now you don't need the bull in the ring.
My coach intentionally would put people in there, and if he knew you were soft or you had screwed up, and he wanted you off the team, the quickest way to turn a so-called football player or into a basketball,
basketball
baseball player, Bull in the Ring,
Yeah.
or Oklahoma.
Or a writer or a novelist.
I remember that one time where I thought I wanted to play football. Dun, dun, dun.
Yeah.
You never see him again.
I think that, but I think that that's certainly a important hypothetical. I think that subjecting people to danger, subjecting people to physical violence is distinctive from people doing calisthenics. And that's not to say that that's
CJ,
not
what's your argument then? And I'm not defending what
like
happened.
kids be dying during football practice.
I was just getting ready. No, not even that. What's the difference between a Marine and a SEAL? What's the difference between an Army member and a Ranger?
And I mean, I don't know what they get subjected to, but I've read stories about the things that SEALs get subjected to.
Like it's just a high level of conditioning that you keep pushing them to.
And I know they get paid.
But it's voluntary. Right. But what I'm speaking to is the drive or the flaw of the folly of man.
It's
real men always want to push themselves further.
Always. That's what I just told CJ earlier today.
All of us, we could when we graduated Tougaloo, and Tougaloo Qs do graduate, by the way, in the top of their class. But okay, well, just stay there. You ain't got your degree. But anyway,
antagonist.
It's no different than when you graduated college. You kept pushing. No, CJ, you didn't have to go to law school. Bart, you didn't have to go to that mechanic school or wherever you went. Chuck.
I hate you, man. I told you.
I just went to Houston to hang out with the bros.
Yeah, I went to
that stripper school, though. Or I'd be a stripper.
I mean, it's fine. They let me join, and I had a felony, but it don't. But y'all get my point.
No. And once again, you know, I know we're talking about Omega Sci-Fi. I mean, I tried not to say it, but CJ keep making me say it. We're talking about our organization. But this is the flaw.
We can't speak to nobody else's.
Yeah, this is the flaw of man and man with power. And see, when you're bringing over a line, you're literally having power over that line. And some people do not know how to handle power.
Oh,
so for example, a particular line is being brought over by someone who is power hungry.
Yeah.
They control that line so
bring me breakfast.
Yeah, it's
bad
to the
point. I can't wait to beat a motherfucking ass nigga, dog.
Yeah, like that person that says, "Oh, I'm gonna be the big wood swinger." Pause. Like I'm gonna be the person that is going to make sure he feeds me and my family for a whole year straight. Like that person with power doesn't know. And I think we start having. And once again, I don't know the brothers involved. I don't know their mindset or nothing. What I know is that from a psychology perspective, as a therapist, as a father, as a person who has some kind of clout in the state, I know what power can do to you if you're not careful. I was lucky to be brought into a beautiful family that showed me how to manage power and influence. Yeah. But every brother who's acute don't know how to do that. And it's hard because if I'm a DP and I don't know how to handle power, and I have 20 boys
willing to
that will jump when I say jump.
Why the fuck is somebody who don't know how to handle power to DP?
But see, that's the problem.
That's the problem with the chapter.
Yeah,
that's the problem with the pro fights. You can't just.
But also, though they may not know how to handle power, they may not tell you they don't know how to handle power. Like you might see signs,
and you don't find this out until some shit go wrong.
You don't find it out because remember, they don't have a position yet until they have a position.
That's one thing. That's one thing. One thing you gonna see about a motherfucker. One thing you gonna see. One thing you should know. If that motherfucker's the DP. Historically, in the past, one thing you would know about that motherfucker is how they handle things. When things
supposedly
from our perspective in our years.
And so I think if the process was I'm
It's
sorry,
not
Bert. Go ahead,
going
man. No, I'm sorry.
No, it's not going that way anymore because you got to understand another issue that's there, but we're overlooking. These new niggas different.
But you know what? I mean, I would give him that, dog. But dog, this has been going on since the beginning of what we're talking about.
But it's a progression. And the other conversation we having, I'm old as fuck. Y'all niggas old too.
Old.
You gotta understand these niggas that's coming through the fraternity right now. Y'all 3 generations removed. Y'all thought about that?
But hold on. So
3 generations.
But I still can't subscribe to that, bro. But Bert, I can't subscribe to that because the mentality is still there, dog.
Because you gotta go in frat years. How about this? Give me a bruh that give me a bruh time-wise right now, a year that you spend a lot of time with, younger than you.
But hold on. Don't use me because I don't like y'all. Like I don't like.
We're not talking to you.
No.
Because we know
I don't like nobody. I barely pick up the phone
right now.
When people call me, dog.
Because I texted you 2 weeks ago. You ain't saying shit.
Dog. See, don't come on,
dog.
Show me the receipts, dog.
Focus.
That's why y'all shouldn't have got Bert old big head. God, I'm sorry.
Focus, man.
Focus. For real. Serious conversation. Come on.
CJ, seriously. Like with individuals that you spend time with in all seriousness.
Yeah.
And here I go again, telling my truth. We got some neos in the chapter right now that I laugh and I joke with, but them dudes is in class with my daughter. And it clicked in my mind. I'm like, the only thing I can offer these young bros is advice and wisdom. Because we absolutely have nothing in common aside from the school we attended to and the chapter we in.
Man.
And so Big Brother Patterson said,
"Is it time?
It's time to eliminate entry into our organizations at an undergrad level."
Is it time?
Is it time?
Is it? Yeah.
Is it time? This speaks to the 25-year-old Bart and the 17, 18, however old I was, Bart. I would be cool with that, but I still think the issue is power. If at 25, well, that was just my truth. My truth was I knew when I became a man. Literally, I knew. Like, it was a click. But some men might not be men until they 40 or 50. And so even if you eliminated it, because I know some grad chapters who really down for that life. I know grad chapters who are
they getting down with the get down.
They get down with the get down. That don't mean, I mean, especially from a bro perspective, they are still under the same scrutiny that when you put your boots on, you have a mission to fulfill and an aura about yourself that needs to be fulfilled that Omega has. And so if they 40, you still see some 40, 50-year-old boys jumping up and down, biting booty meats. You know what I'm saying? I ain't saying you should, but
why you keep focusing on biting booty?
Because, I mean, that's what they do, dog. They still bite booty. I ain't saying you should bite booty, dog. I'm saying with consent.
Consent.
Look.
I'm real though. Like, I don't think it's about grad or undergrad. It's about
your point is taken because in this organization, it focuses on power. And right now, I'm just gonna speak my truth. Then y'all
do it. It's time for us to do that.
I don't think the old ways will ever be removed from Omega. That's just my opinion. I don't think the old ways will ever be removed because it's too much of an appeal and it's too much of considered or perceived badge of honor.
That's exactly what I said. I can vividly remember when I was I keep hearing CJ in my head. When I was pledging and a woman found out or girls found out, they hyped up like, oh, he's finna be a Q. Like, even when I went back home, oh, he's finna be a Q. Like, that idea of what a Q is to them and then hyped up. This man, see, that's what I'm talking about, man. That's what
I told him, shut up, dog.
it's too
Come on.
late. I already heard. And so, you know, like even when I go back home, like people they like, oh, he's finna be a Q. Oh, he's finna be real. Like that eggs you on. And that has been perpetuated for years. Like even old bros, you hear old bros saying, like, oh, you know, the Qs come in, you know, we running the y'all. Like they were saying it with a swag because they knew everyone loved the bro. That is addictive. You hear that
the romanticism or the romanticizing of like the Q dog mystique. It is something that is intoxicating on a number of levels.
Most definitely,
dog. A young person. I mean, it can be for a older person as well, someone who does it in grad chapter, but particularly when you are a young man on campus, it can be something that's intoxicating, and that I mean, particularly true for Qs, but true across the board, I'm sure, for those in those other organizations for whatever reasons that they aspire.
We're speaking about what we know,
right? A part of those, right? But I think that, like, as it comes to us thinking about resolutions, us thinking about, and I don't even know that we are the people to answer those questions. To be honest with you,
we are a group of friends having a conversation,
right?
That's what we do.
So I think that there were some things that were put out there. There were questions asked about whether or not there should not be an undergraduate process, but that it should be something that you can only do at the grad level. And I think that Maria underscored that there are a lot of instances where there may be things that happen at grad level. It's still, you know, you still, it's probably gonna be some people overcompensating even more at that point. Because
that's what Maria said.
Like,
I agree with that.
You know, like so those
and
are.
Then, I'm sorry, CJ, but then Willie said something as well, and I think that we don't. And so I think it's important to make sure that we understand what is being said. Willie said, you know, nationals pretty much want that check. And so we need to separate what's happening. The conversation that we're having, this conversation is the conversation that happens behind closed doors, because it won't change at a national level, so to speak, because that money needs to keep coming in. If we want to, like nationals don't tell you to go out there and tussle when you have a disagreement. Nationals don't say that. Nationals don't say nothing about, hey, if you don't go this process, you're going to be called the opposite of a dog. You know what I'm saying? Nationals don't do that. Those are things that are happening behind closed doors.
I agree with that, but can I ask you something though? Do you think that someone who has ever been elected to a national position is someone who who does not understand or is not familiar with those aspects of this thing?
CJ, I'm gonna say I'm gonna go even further what you said, because your mind, we was twinning just then.
Yeah,
Bart, I agree with what CJ said 1,000%. How is somebody in well, our fraternity at the moment is unique. It's a little different, but the majority of the people who have say so in our fraternity, and I can't speak for the others, don't know the stories or the experiences that we're sharing. So therefore it's going to be jaded or very much biased when you try to have these conversations. They're going to be lost.
But see, I'm not saying have a conversation with the people at national or those people. So you're 100% right. Y'all are right.
You talk about the culture of them.
I'm talking about, look, this is what I'm talking about. And I'll just say it. We have, even in our family, in my real family, we have a process, and even in Omega, and I'm a part of a couple other organizations, we have a quote unquote a hot seat moment. A hot seat moment is, for those of you who don't know, is that when we got to talk about something, I don't care how difficult it is, you got to sit down. We got to have a conversation, and you can't say shit. Like
until
you got
everybody
to
has
listen. And so
uncomfortable conversation.
It's really uncomfortable, but I understand, even in my family, uncomfortable conversations don't mean that they're bad, but they have to be had. These conversations that I'm having, that I'm talking about, they're not happening with the Grand Boss list. They're not happening with anybody in that. That's not who. And I say this with all due respect.
We are having is not happening.
Yeah, no, the conversation we're having. No. The conversation that we need to have should not be happening with the Grand Boss list. And I say this with all due respect. The heads of every organization, their goal isn't to remedy this. They are running a business. They
Oh,
like at the end of the day, their
They
job is to
CEOs.
protect their organization
But
They are
that's
CEOs.
risk.
costly to the that's potentially costly to that business. You know, not being able to not having regulations over your over even members, because if members constitute agents of your if they represent or indicative of agents or agency, then they still you're going to be liable for your agents at that point in time. And so that's something to
which is where insurance comes in and all of that, and
right.
that's a
I
whole
agree.
nother.
But yeah,
Go ahead, CJ.
absolutely. Like pretty much, man. Like ultimately, I think that I'm glad that we're having this conversation because it's necessary. I think that as some people have said, the conversation has to go even deeper because we do have a culture of America is a culture of violence. We were
It
raised
is.
in a culture of violence. As young black men in America, we've been subjected all our lives to violence. That certainly does not mean or justify any right on our behalf to perpetuate that violence. And I think
Definitely.
that's where the responsibility comes in to us as men and women who have the ability to change the course of things. Many times I bumped head with many brothers because I was nonconformist in the way that I approached things.
What?
And it's the truth with you too. I mean, like, a lot of us were nonconformists.
Bring me up in this.
And when you are nonconformist in an organization that is about, in some shape, form, and fashion, conforming to conforming to a stereotypical way of being, you're going to get pushback. And so in the beginning, there may be pushback at the notion of doing something different than the homogenous way in which it's always been done. I think that Maria said something about regulations and processes that makes sense to me. If you got if you develop a structured process that falls in lines of I can sign this thing saying I'm down to go through this process.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that and you make that a uniform thing so that some of the things that we say right now, because things are different from process to process, we won't have to say anymore. That doesn't mean that anything about it is going to be flawless, but it could mean that you are creating a structure that allows for a reduction of these types of potential things where you got 18, 19, no, not 18, but you got 20, 21, and 22-year-olds, and you got 18, 19, and 20-year-olds being made, right? And when you have a circumstance where suddenly an emergency happens, and suddenly all of these young guys who thought they were men revert back to being little boys and girls because they are scared. Because
They don't know what to do.
I'm talking about, I know in my heart that in that moment, all that hard shit went out the window.
Oh yeah. Soft as marshmallows.
I done been there before.
I know tears was
We've all been there.
We all have been there.
I'm talking about, I know that in that moment, those people were more vulnerable than they have ever been in their fucking life as far as their emotions was concerned.
Which is why this conversation, I'm super appreciative of it. But when and the more I think about it and the more we had these conversations, the truth of the matter is, even with y'all, Chuck, CJ, Bart, I said it was 2 degrees of separation. I lied because I just played back in my mind as y'all was talking some shit that had transpired. It's 1 degree of separation. For the grace of God, we could have been on the news.
Yeah.
Bro,
and let's just call it what it is.
I just told CJ,
God,
not only Bert, and to be honest, I think the reason why this hits home for a lot of Qs, and the reason why they're fearful of saying it out loud, is because I could have been either in prison or I could have been dead.
And these people's lives are affected and ruined forever.
Forever. And so that's why I don't want to be the person that, like, I don't care what you call me. At this point, I mean, I don't fought just about half the fraternity. including our own chapter, fist fighting, whatever. I don't fault everybody else, everybody trying to hate us. I can't sit back and not try to make a change, or at
Right.
least like we can't sit back. Like PE
Well, you
for the history of PE, we have always been the chapter that has never conformed. We have always led the way on how we're going to do things. Whether it was someone saying go put on a frat shirt, and I come in with a button-up shirt, whether it was the day after we pledge and CJ wears a red turtleneck, whatever it is,
why y'all
we
got
have
on them slides? Stop wearing
on the fly.
slides.
Yeah, dog. Like
Man,
how you just gonna set us up? But
Y'all
I
niggas got on
think
New Balances?
but
That's what y'all doing. Y'all
but
got
I
on no
think
fresh shirt.
I think the conversation has to be, we cannot be fearful, nor can we be passive in
Yeah.
how we try to do this. And so I think, though I don't think CJ's way is the right way, and I'm not saying it's the wrong way either, only because I know the flaw of man.
yeah.
I do think it is a start of a conversation, but I still believe that this conversation has to be underneath and behind a closed door,
But
because
It has to happen
I-
at like
it
at
has to
every
happen in the rec
chapter.
sessions. It didn't
Hey,
even
when
happen like when
how
ChatGPT gonna have way more answers for this, how to do that shit than
you
me,
said what,
dog.
CJ?
ChatGPT gonna have way more. They need to go. They need to add ChatGPT, dog. They need to add motherfucking.
but
Maybe that's the evolution of how you like
when you know
how
better,
you
you
make
do
bros
better.
with AI, dog.
I,
The AI
no,
But
no,
bros.
no. I'm just saying, like there are solutions out there, and I don't want to be dismissive of the fact that like there are solutions out there. I don't know if they're gonna be solved in a day because we talking about 100-year-old. I don't even know if it's a
oh
100-year-old
shit,
problem.
No,
Right.
no, no,
But,
no. It's thousands
like,
of years.
right.
Like this is about
But
humanity, CJ.
yeah, and I know,
Humanity.
right?
but the thing about it is, I agree with you, and I think that
Zulu
it
Warriors.
like, but as it relates to the things that the Divine Nine, how can the Divine Nine improve, and more specifically, our organization, which in this instance is the organization that was associated with the loss of the life of Caleb Wilson.
Right.
Hey,
FYI, and y'all need to have these conversations individually. Like some of my friends who are women,
Yeah.
the majority of the females that I know in organizations are either deltas or AKAs. The regulations that their ladies have compared to us,
Right.
yeah.
like,
Women
and
can be like these organizations can be cutthroat, dog.
Yeah.
oh,
Like
they play no
I
games.
know, dog.
They play no game, and like I said, my experience, my wife who's a Delta,
Yeah.
and multiple Deltas that I know, and then multiple friends that I know related that are AKAs. Play it with them if you want to, but we circle back to the beginning of this conversation. You couldn't tell me, and I just feel in my spirit, in my heart, that those three gentlemen who have been I guess charged now.
Yeah, they've definitely been charged. They're in custody.
Had no malicious
Bail has been set.
intent
Yeah.
of having a potential member
No.
leave this realm.
No, I mean, like, dog, let's just call it for real. Like
They had no intent of
they
that.
were not trying to like take their little brother's life. That was
Right.
little brother Caleb to them.
Right.
And that's absolutely correct. They did not
Yeah,
have.
no, I feel that. I agree with
They
that.
did not. I believe in my heart that it was an accident, as we stated earlier. I think again, and this is where the issue becomes an issue, is once they all became scared little boys and realized that they was
Right.
that they were little boys. That's when it and they made the decision. No, the decisions that were alleged to have been made
Right.
after Caleb's life was clearly in danger are the
He was in
issues
distress.
upon which this thing is going to hinge, and it's truly the crux of where. I mean, that's not to dismiss the things that led to Caleb
Right.
being physically in distress, but it was what you did after that, how you tried to allegedly cover this up, how you then lied in a way that subverted the ability for the investigation to go as planned.
Yeah.
How you allegedly changed his clothes because you was trying to protect something. Like, I mean, like, if you why you change if you do that, if you change clothes and you do those things,
That's ill intent.
That's when it becomes intent.
Right.
That's when it becomes
Right.
there's a premeditation involved.
It's premeditated.
That doesn't mean
Yeah.
that they premeditated the desire or unknowingly. At that point, they were behaving in a reckless manner when he first got injured. But at some point, it went from reckless to now we are thinking about the things that we are doing before we do the necessary thing, which is literally fuck everything else. Fuck everything else. If they take this shit away from me, because I had to get this young man to the hospital on time, I can live with that. I can live with that. Blood on my hands. I can't live with his blood on my hands. And so, again, I'm saying this sincerely from a place of not trying to be a hypocrite, because I've been a 20-year-old before. I've done dumb things before.
Stupid shit. Yeah.
I've been a part of this organization for 24 years, and so in that time, you have seen things, and so it would be, it would be disingenuous to say that I haven't. But I understand with the luxury of perspective and time, but also with the understanding that I have of the law, that that's where the issue is and is going to be. And from a morality standpoint, that's going to be where the issue is going to be. I feel so sorry for everybody involved with this.
I just keep thinking about, and it's just so much in real time for me. 1 through 6, y'all LBs, imagine one of y'all LBs dying in the set. That shit just is so crazy to me, but it's so crazy because everybody on this line right now, and the allegations that you attested to, CJ, they was given the common courtesy of even having a damn boxing glove on. A boxing glove? A boxing glove? Allegedly. Yep. I wish. Yep. I wish.
It's bad. Yeah. And see, that's what I ain't gonna lie to you. I'm hurt, dog. Like I just can't get past the hurt feeling. And I think everyone is in agreement something has to change. I think across the board, definitely there. No matter what organization you're a part of, something has to change. What has to change is up for debate. If you're from my school of thought, hazing is so deeply embedded into humanity and into a violent humanity that I am not hopeful that it changes. But I do think that what we're trying to do is we're trying to at least mitigate some of the drama associated with hazing in some regard.
Decrease the instances in which there's loss of life.
Yeah, because it's just human beings in general. It's going to happen. But I think for our organization, I think it's important that we have these conversations out loud with ourselves. And I think we need to start addressing, the underlying thing is the trauma that happens. I was just telling Chuck earlier, even with their line and our line, there was a lot of trauma that was still there.
Yeah.
And even as friends, we had to address, like, as real brothers over the years, like, just no Q dog stuff. Chuck is literally my brother, my friend, one of my child's godfathers, but we had to address things, real things that you did or I did or we've done to each other that hurts, that says, black man, if I was more mature, I would have done better by you. I would have taught. Now I can just say, I'm using Chuck as an example, but it's real. But Chuck and Bert if I could say, and it's a lot of good brothers, AC, if I could say, like, they were teachers. They taught how to move to the next phase in life. If things get hard, they were really good teachers in tough situations. I don't know how you replicate these young men into the process of Omega over and over and over again so that each chapter has a good teacher like that, because it's hard to identify. Like, I didn't know Bert was going to be a good teacher. Bert jokes around so much. Bert got a heavy hand. Bert is just like, I just don't know if Bert was going to be a good teacher or not. But he did end up being a good teacher. Shut up, Bert. You so. And so Omega needs this. Omega, I think organizations need that in general. That you have Black men who love you, who don't want to see you in pain, but they want to teach you a lesson so that when the pain does come, you know how to take care of it.
Can I share a truth with you, Bart? About that?
No, Bert, you can't.
But I'm gonna share it anyway.
I know you are, Bert.
Omega definitely needs those kind of men, but in the instance, sometimes you have to take a step back because the trauma that was shared for me, and we laugh and we joke, but I didn't realize probably until about halfway into my frat life that the laughing and the joking we're doing, we really sharing trauma bonds.
Heck yeah, bro. That's why trauma is what bonds us.
But I didn't really.
But should we have? Is that the only way to create those bonds?
Which is so crazy because we become frat brothers first, but we become friends through our bonds. And our bonds, like I said, shitty or not, tend to be trauma bonds. I didn't find out till later on when we were getting to know each other, like how parallel our lives were related to our upbringing and things of that nature. Why aren't we spending time finding out about the commonalities on the previous side of the fraternity as opposed to the back side of the fraternity?
All right, let me jump in on that. But you know that's how I roll though.
You do.
That's how I roll.
That's you.
That's how I roll. Like Josh expressed interest. Josh, you finna be with me all summer.
Yep.
You know what? We get you need help at your grandmama's house. All right, I'm coming over there.
You're right.
This me, I'm hazing myself because I'm like,
you're right.
Hey man, I want this guy to be in the chapter.
You getting on my
maybe that's the process, Chuck. Maybe the new process should be all right. I'm trying to put everything together. So if we were transparent, like CJ has suggested in some regard, and in that transparency,
my wife
whatever waiver,
loud.
This is crazy.
Whatever waiver that the young men sign in order to be a part of Omega, there must be an equal or opposite waiver on the initiates already to go through a process that is similar to what, not similar, but it pledges those who had already gone through the process. It pledges them by giving them a script. Like, for example, they have to spend like with our community service in order, like when you're writing in
requirements in order to be a part of
requirements. Like you have to go to their house, maybe like meet with their family. You have to let them do.
Crossing Omega wouldn't be enough. Crossing any organization wouldn't be enough to simply then be able to intake someone else into.
But y'all already know the pledging or even the pledging process don't make you a better person. Because I mean, if I keep saying,
it's still up.
No, now this is one of those. Dr. Bruno, bro, these boys unruly over here, dog.
He's over here.
I got my $20.
Yo, he's over here chilling too.
Like,
yeah, dog.
I'm like, ain't no way Noah's still up, bro.
But he is still up, dog. I'm surprised you didn't hear him.
But I ain't gonna lie. I mean,
so you ain't got no authority in your house, huh?
I ain't got none. I
think you're onto something though, man. Like,
so I think it just needs a double. Go ahead, CJ, tell me.
It need to be. I mean, if it's like people who have those qualities, those skills that we don't necessarily have. There's bros that got skills in this field, including yourselves. Bart, Kiera Gaines is a bro that's skilled in therapy and talking through things and educate. But even if it's not them, and even if it's not the bros, all organizations have the ability and capacity to grow and evolve in that way, and to begin to implement holistic elements of manhood, like and elements of shit that's other than setting out the hop and fucking barbecuing and being loud. I'm just being real, like
being loud and obnoxious.
There are so many. I mean, and there's so many beautiful
things.
There's so many beautiful things about the men of Omega Psi Phi that I love and that I gravitate towards, that those aren't the things that have ever been appealing to me about the organization. The things that have been appealing to me about the organization is like McNair. You know what I mean? Like the brothers who really have set the standard across the board in all types of walks of life. And so when I think about it, I think that there are opportunities for us to improve our culture by being more complete in how we begin to address those things.
But let's be let's be honest. Let's be honest though.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's still something that maybe we need to work on the forefront. We in our 40s now.
Yeah.
Are we having this conversation in our 20s?
I don't think so.
I think
at 500 West Carolina Road.
To keep it above, we kind of were. We not had.
Yeah,
I was gonna say the same thing, Chuck.
Okay.
But I will say,
y'all talk about.
I will say PE, not just putting us on a different pedestal or anything like that. We've been mature than a lot of other chapters and organizations over the years because we've had to have real conversations. But I also know that maybe we do need the 40-year-old to go back and have a real conversation that's sanctioned to talk about real stuff. Like, I just don't know. But even with that, I don't know if I want a grown man, because Bert said it earlier. The young brothers with his daughter now. I don't know if I want a grown man talking to my baby boy. And I definitely don't want a young boy talking to my baby boy about it's just weird, dog. The whole pledging is weird.
But I would rather a PE bruh, an older PE bruh, have a conversation with a younger PE bruh, your son coming into the chapter or whatever. Because
but that's what happened for us though.
But every chapter ain't like that though.
I was just gonna say, I think we take for granted our tie.
Yeah,
because
we do.
number one, Tougaloo is super small.
Yeah.
And
I just started thinking about Sean T.
Dang, dog, Sean T.
Dog, it hit different, dog. Because those are the bros that spend time with you and like tell you the flaws and the shit that you see that they don't have to do. Tougaloo is one of the only schools that I know, and those who are online who paying attention, I don't care, but prior to you becoming Greek, if you pledge Kappa, if you pledge Alpha, if you pledge Sigma, I don't care what your fraternity choice is, you still gonna fuck with them people after they whatever letters they choose. Like
shout out to Mac too.
You right.
Like right now, like Lewis and Pierre and Teddy, bless his soul, them bros and them Kappas, cause Tougaloo small as shit. We leave in Renner Hall all together at the same time.
I'm thinking about the Alpha. T-Ware, even Corey and them, Sigma.
Honore and them, we coming back.
Like,
right.
Back to them.
I ain't lie. So I think we're an exception. Like, but I think, once again, I think they should have more mentors and they should identify who they are before they pledge, if that's possible. Like, you should find out who you are. Because I think that's what happened. Like, ultimately what you're speaking to is the T-Wares, the Honores, the Pierres, the all of them, dog. Like, we were just dudes at Tougaloo who was really smart. Almost every black boy around there was probably a damn genius who had the luxury of having the most beautiful women in the entire world a campus, who had damn near the smartest professors in the entire world on a campus.
And they were going to challenge you.
And they were going to challenge. And then you had the beauty of knowing that most of these people were probably had some change in their pocket, but they wouldn't ever tell you they had change in their pocket. Right. They were just real. And so I think we are the exception. So I think it's best for us to think outside of that box. But I think we're on to something. I think knowing somebody beforehand and getting to know them. And I'm just thinking about right now, if McRae and Jackson came through, or even if Noah comes through and y'all are there, I would want y'all to talk to him in a particular way. You know, of course, it'll be Uncle Chuck, Uncle Bert talking to him, but I would want y'all to say, hey, this is what's getting ready to happen. Not to ruin the process for you, but I want you to be confident in knowing when you should stop.
Right.
And I want you to be confident in knowing, because that's what I'm telling my son. You know, I don't care what stories he hears about his dad. I don't
Right.
care if he says, "Oh, your dad was this, and that." No matter how true they may be, I'm going to tell him, "Baby, please stop."
Yeah.
And like I feel like I'm gonna cry because not having your child at the end of the day to fulfill a stereotype is something I cannot fathom.
Caleb's father, all he got is memory.
Dog, that
his son,
hurts.
Mother,
his son
father,
not coming home.
his mother,
Dog,
his
my
father,
spirit
his
hurts.
sisters. Like,
And that's not to take nothing away from his siblings or his mother, but
Caleb was trying to be the bros like his daddy.
I'm trying to
Dang,
process
dog.
this. Your daddy is a bruh.
CJ daddy, bro.
How you can't tell me that's probably one of the most conflicting feelings that man has ever had in his life.
right.
One of the things that I'm assuming he loves the most is a part of what took his son from him.
That's what I'm saying, dog. That's
Something
that's
that
the hypocrisy in
and I'm
us.
sure that his son grew up loving, wearing the little shirt, Future True.
Golly.
You know what I'm saying? Throwing the hooks up in the house. You know what I mean? Running around the house in his pop's boots. Like, you know that's the shit. You know it happened like that. That's how it happened to me. You know what I'm saying? My dad never said to me, "You gonna be a Q." I always wanted to be it because I saw the bros.
How he carried himself.
I saw the bros that came around, how we fellowship with one another, how he carried himself. It was what I wanted for me.
Yeah.
As a result of
Bart said it. By default, I love Gamma Psi. Love it to death. But whatever's Caitlin's choice may be, if some bullshit happen, I'm burning the school down.
The world.
I'm
It ain't just the world.
And so like as y'all think through that, I'm like exactly like the conflicting feelings.
Yeah.
We too were having conflicting feelings because you're trying to decide how do you discuss this process with maintaining things that you have to maintain about it, while simultaneously speaking truth to power about it and being transparent and acknowledging that something fucked up happened, while also trying to hold on to and protect and preserve that thing that you love, and it does become difficult to wrap your mind around that. But Caleb Wilson, bro, at the end of the day should still be here.
He should be here.
Hopefully the threat does right by him.
That should never be another Caleb Wilson, dog. That should never be another.
Absolutely not.
In any organization,
sucks, dog. That sucks.
This should be the last instance of anything like this happening with anybody. And I understand that freak accidents might happen.
Just call it what it is, dog. Like it in the frat as a whole, particularly the 7th, the 5th, and the 9th D, we've been dodging bullets for a minute.
Call it fair.
Call it what it is. We've been dodging bullets. And that ain't pointing no fingers at nobody. But I keep saying this, for the grace of God, this story could have been in 1998. It could have been in 96. It could have been in 2000, 02, 04, 01. Dog, we've been dodging bullets for a minute.
But the fraternity been dodging bullets for, dog. Every time you bring, without a conversation like this, without people who are not power hungry. I think Maria said something earlier about having an assessment of some sort. When you don't have the right people in place, the personnel that we call it sometimes, we're dodging a bullet every single line that we bring over. I don't care if you being brought over in the fall, summer, or spring. Every time that you don't have the right personnel in place and people are power hungry and processes aren't vetted in its totality, we're dodging bullets. And every single time that line comes over or gets close to coming over, there's a possibility of someone dying every single time.
I think one of the underlying parts of it, the celebration and the success, is like, whoo!
I know it was for me. I know it was. And that's sad though. I didn't go to jail this time.
We made it.
So I didn't die this time. Like that
we
sucks.
catch no charges.
I mean, hell, we throw around the fray, but did you die?
But did you die?
Look, that's what I'm saying now. Like the culture of us is different. The culture of Omega, and I'll say it, but I don't mean it, and I hope this doesn't get taken. I hope it is not a soundbite. Our fraternity has a lot of toxic traits that needs to be addressed.
What?
Like it's the toxicity of a trait. Like I don't know about other organizations.
That's why I was gonna say it's not always power. Sometimes it's insecurity.
Yeah, it
Sometimes
is.
it's the opposite of power.
Insecurity. Therapeutically speaking, you already know, Bart.
Yes.
Therapeutically speaking, insecurities manifest themselves in lack of, oh, let me drive the biggest car. Oh, let me have the biggest house.
Or let me
be the craziest DP.
Or let me be the loudest.
Let me get the most
drink the most, or let me smoke the most, or let me get the most women. Like our fraternity builds up a level of toxic traits that as a child, if not addressed and you don't have your traumas in place, Omega exacerbates those toxic traits and feeds into them. And if you don't have a good brother who is grounded, if you don't have a good Chuck, even Mr. Lawrence, like growing up in that household, like a good man, if you don't have a good man who understands who he is, or a Chap, if you don't have good men, if you don't have a good man to bring you back into an ideal of what a real man is, Omega. Once again, Omega is beautiful. I cannot express how beautiful my fraternity is. But I would be remiss to not say that if you do not know who you are, you will fall prey to being the most insecure, boisterous, toxic individual that perpetuates bad stereotypes and becomes a virus.
You will be loud more so than you will be loud because you don't want to be truly seen.
You will definitely, dog.
Truly be seen.
That's deep,
somebody asked a question earlier about why is it that we did have some deep conversations as young men. We did. But I think that sometimes people have surface level conversations with one another and don't challenge each other because that's where it's safe with each other. And people want to feel safe in those spaces. But the reality is when you identify that there's a DP that's got a problem and probably shouldn't be a DP because you know some of their character flaws, then are we not responsible to speak up as men?
You don't need to be in this position because you got your own shit you dealing with.
Whether you're 20 years old or whatever.
But we don't do that though.
As we should.
Like for example, to your points. This is just my personal experience as a therapist, as a clinician. My personal experiences would be this, and I'm not faulting anybody. I promise you I'm not. But if I was young Bart and I had a power of who would be a DP or an ADP, if you had a recent death in your family that was close to you and you had not healed from, you shouldn't be a DP because those things manifest themselves into like I know, for example, I had a horrible father, dog, in so many regards. When I didn't address the traumas of my father, they came out of a place where Erica and I were driving. We were going to see the Isley brothers, and he died in February. Shokway's father died right the week after my father died. I was so angry. I was driving. I started screaming in the middle of traffic, screaming and hitting everything because I was so mad that I didn't get a chance to tell this man what he's done to me.
Yeah. And
so it manifested itself. And so if you are pledging a fraternity, if you had a recent trauma, if you had any type of trauma in your past that was known, I wouldn't let you be a DP or ADP. If I saw the way you treated people on the yard, if after you got your letters and you acted like, oh, nah, man, we can't mess with him no more. Or if you took the term, and I hate this term, but if you took the term GDI to a whole nother level, like if you said, oh, this person he ain't the bros, y'all don't talk to him, or your best friend is a noob, don't talk to them like that. That happened. Like a couple of my best friends are noobs. Like there's no way I'm not finna be like
Me and
and
you
alphas.
About to come.
me and you was cool
Yes.
before we either one of us had letters.
Exactly. And
Yeah.
so my character assessment would be I would go down my checklist and I'll be like, not to say that this is a negative thing, but it is to say right now we are getting ready to make beautiful black men and we want them to be strong right now.
Strong
You're
and
not in a
better.
position, and it's not saying that you'll never be,
But
but
right
in the
now,
same place,
Respect.
let's try to get you some help.
right now.
Let Omega be able to pay for a therapist for that particular young like EAPs like when you're working like your organization sometimes gives you like 6 free trials of therapy or whatever, at least
Yeah.
to start you on the process. We should do that as Omega and maybe other organizations to say, hey, I have identified some things that may have happened in your life. Let Omega, because you've already given us thousands of dollars. Let me see a return on that money for a health perspective. Let me
Bart,
say, go ahead. No, tell me.
no, how about this? CJ, you were asking this. Here we go back again with layers, because African Americans as a whole, we don't deal with mental health.
Most definitely.
For us, mental health and issues related to the African American and the diaspora is like global warming to Republicans. That shit don't exist. So
That's very astute.
So in the same analogy,
Yeah.
when you're dealing with HBCUs and orgs, I want the most mentally clear and astute and okay people to enter
Right.
these orgs.
Right.
And on top of that, I want the mentally astute and the mentally clear and the healed people to be in positions of authority. But when you putting people in authority related to who have mental scars,
Mm-hmm.
Bert Jackson, 1990,
Bartholomew Allen.
97, 90, 98, the only way that I knew how to handle Chuck and them, I was so angry. I was so angry as a Neo because my own personal shit. I couldn't play football no more. Other personal issues. So people under my, for lack of a better word, under my subordinate clauses, you pass down trauma. So what I was told and what I was taught, I'm gonna get a 2,000. No, y'all want to be a part of my chapter. Y'all want to be a part of my organization because y'all are in a position that's going to be better than me. I'm going to make sure you are flawless. Listen to what the fuck I'm saying as a 22-year-old man at that time. I'm trying to make some subordinates flawless. They're human. I'm traumatized and I'm thrown off as myself. So how I'm trying to make them better or flawless when I have flaws in myself that I'm instilling in them. So as the process continues and as the process goes, I never shared this with you. Halfway through your process, I had an epiphany, or from a therapeutic standpoint, what is known as an extinction burst. We were in a learning session, and I had my own trauma related to football, and it clicked in my mind. What am I giving to Albert Lee, Chuck, Rashad, AC, Twan, and Leonard that's going to make them better when they leave Tougaloo College? Or am I just passing trauma into them? My shit was terrible, traumatic, and bad. So why do I want to instill or give or interject that same shit into them? Hey, here's an opportunity for me to do something different.
Yeah.
And Bart, this is when I had my epiphany and my moment related to therapy is what I need to do. because I have my own trauma. I have my own issue. So the best thing that I can do to the world and the universe is to give them a map or a composition related to how to avoid the shit that I'm dealing with emotionally. So if I do what is right, or if I do what is appropriate related to dealing with them for my own trauma, just maybe, if the Lord says the same,
We don't pass this shit.
They don't pass that bullshit
And
down.
listen here, long time ago, we used to sing a song, said somebody tell me why we were treated so bad. Today, as
I heard that song before.
Today, as I reflect on that song, I think about the question now is, does being treated bad justify you treating someone else bad? Is that a reason to do the same? And under no circumstances, the more we sit here and talk with each other, does it make sense to me that treating someone badly, dehumanizing them, battering and brutalizing them, I don't think that has to be the way to build someone up.
The showing empathy or sharing somebody your own emotional scars, does that make you weak?
I think those
are the conversations that we try to avoid.
Vulnerability is strong. When Chuck shed a tear just then over Sean T, dog, I felt that shit, dog.
And just to jump in right here, that we have to kind of give some context for. I guess the context gives credence to the importance that Bart was trying to make the this parallel or connect the dots to. Bart was concerned about an older man coming back to be involved in the process of in Noah's process when he gets to that point, or Jackson or McRae. But the thing is, Bert brought it up where, and Sean T is our 81 pro fight. Bert brought up the point. Would you rather it be a person that came through your chapter and it is someone that has a legacy and a lineage and a connection to it? I think when there is this expectation of leadership and mentorship, but also to speak to what you just shared, Bert, what we're having now is a trauma-informed conversation, and what you did was a trauma-informed response. And I'm not like bragging on your trauma-informed response, but you said roadmap. Like how do I attempt to provide to these guys a roadmap to success because of the issues and the traumas that I'm already processing and dealing with? How do I do that in a way that is meaningful, that they can receive it, and they can also be transferable? And I think like that's the process that we're attempting to recreate as it relates to Omega, or as it relates to HBCU bands, or being inducted or welcomed into a house. Brenner Hall, House 1 through 5, Four Horsemen, all of these different little things, all of these ties that bind. If we're not, and this I'll end with this, we are not connected enough as ancestors or as people that are still living, so we're not able to tap into the knowledge that we really need to. We're not able to tap into these trauma-informed situations because when we're young, we think that the old folks don't know nothing. But it's not always like that. Like, everybody loves their grandmother, everybody loves their grandfather. But we also at some point have to build the wherewithal or cultivate the ground so that type of plant can grow, so that when I see Bert, I got to understand that even though that he just a few years older than me, this nigga knows something. He knows something, and he has something that can be like valuable to me.
Mm-hmm. Dog, my grandma, our grandparents might not be able to tell us about AI. They can damn sure tell us about life. Our elders can tell us about
Absolutely.
life if we're willing to. And that's one of the things that we learn, bro.
But
Like
you gotta be
mother
willing
to
to
son,
receive
bro.
it.
Mother
You
to
gotta
son.
drink.
Well,
be
son,
willing
I
to
tell you,
receive
life
it,
for
though.
me ain't been no crystal stair.
Right. Drink
Like,
deep.
There are lessons. If we take the lessons that we have been taught and we actually apply the lessons that we have been taught, if we are unafraid to admit that we have flaws, that
Hold on, wait, CJ, you need to stop right there. Right there. Boy, I don't even think you understand the whole weight and the brevity of what you just said. You can't progress. You can't grow in any shape, form, mentally, emotionally, or spiritually, if you're not willing to admit that you have flaws. And
All
black men as a whole, that I don't even want to say
what you gonna reveal, dog.
that ain't even a stumbling block.
You don't.
That's a damn Himalayan mountain. Because if for me, it wasn't intentional. Going back to what I was saying in our pledging process, the only way that I changed my mode of interaction was in 2000, November the 1st, when I realized that I had my own trauma and my own emotional scars related to my life and related to my previous pledging process. And it wasn't even intentional. It was strictly accidental. And and for those of you who aren't in therapy and those of you who don't understand, Google or look up the word extinction burst, because I don't like to speak over people, but look at it was an extinction burst in the process in that moment. And I was like, the shit that was done to me, the things that was giving to me. Please don't take it as me whining or crying, because my pledge process, I needed. I was arrogant. I was narcissistic related to my pledge process. And as I said previously, the people who were on the other side of Rho Epsilon, PE, Tougaloo College, I looked at them, I was like, with almost damn near disdain. Ain't no way in the hell that dude is going to wear some boots, be branded, wear Rho Epsilon, and they ain't finna let me in this bitch. Nigga, what? No. But with that being said, that's another therapeutic term is called transference and projection.
And countertransference.
And countertransference. So all of that, the positive aspect that I use for motivation tends to be a negative response for those who come after me. Oh, you was abused, you was neglected, you was taken advantage of. Finna give them all this work. But like I said, in the same process dealing with me, I developed friendships and commonality in their process when I got to know them and I looked at them. So here's an analogy, or here's a theory that I have going forward.
There we go. I like this.
In order to avoid more situations like Caleb, I think that all of the D9 orgs need to focus on mental health as priority number one.
Okay.
Well, in the top 3 priorities, I think the D9 needs to focus on character, number one.
Character development.
Number 2, I would say probably the second process will probably be a thorough evaluation of the individual, the history of the individual, because when you don't know who you're dealing with or you don't know their history, you really don't know what character or quality of person you're getting. Third would be mental health.
Okay.
It's crazy you saying that, because I'm writing, like, I wrote down almost exactly what you're talking about right now.
So when you're bringing in mental health or you're looking at these individuals, I think one of the process needs to be, if these people need to be evaluated for mental health therapy, or if they have any previous concerns or issues related to their mental health or trauma, because if you bring trauma into a situation, it's going to create trauma.
Right.
And fourth of that, I think you need to focus on character development or mentorship. And which is crazy, I'm intentionally saying, out of everything, mentorship should be the last thing that you should develop, because if you have the prior three in the proper order,
then the mentor,
then they've established the rapport or the justification in order to receive the mentorship.
Yeah.
You can't receive mentorship if your shit is thrown off.
And you can't give mentorship if your shit is thrown off.
Absolutely. Yeah, I agree. and I think Bert, that is the best way to start with what you said. Then I think moving forward, let's say they passed, let's say everything is good, let's say the four of us right here went through our whole process, whatever. Then I think you need to do, let's say it's time to start learning poems. All the D9 knows that everyone has a poem that they're learning in some regard.
Everybody has to learn some poems.
I think that there needs to be an actual classroom setting where the poem is dissected and people within that group are telling about how it pertains to them. Like, for example, CJ mentioned Mother to Son earlier. I mean, not Mother Son. Oh yeah, you did.
It was Mother
Son earlier. To me, when I hear that poem, I think about everyone who knows my mama, Big Mama G. I think about her wisdom and how she teaches people, like random people in the world. Like, I don't care who you are, she has never met a stranger. She brings them in and she teaches them about an aspect, a total stranger. I think when you have a classroom setting and you're teaching the people that's trying to get into your organization personal real world experiences, now the bond starts strengthening. When you start talking about poems like what's the poem? Invictus. When you start speaking on poems,
did you say what's the point?
No, I was trying to think, man. Bert, don't start. And so I think after you do the classroom setting, then I think, to speak to CJ's point earlier, I think there, and to Bert's point, there needs to be a football setting or a organized sports type setting, which means that we need to practice this in conjunction in an organized setting. Like, for example, when you see
some structure.
Yeah. So, like, when you see football players running, or you see basketball players running suicides, and I hate saying that word, I'm sorry, but it's organized and it's monitored. And so while they're doing that, everyone is paying attention to the individual people that are trying to pledge, and they are putting together that first classroom setting to that physical to reinforce that classroom setting, and then that moment is done. And then you go back and you do that process again, and then halfway, no matter how many sections you have, then another assessment is done. You're assessing the mental state of the people that are pledging and the ones who are bringing them in. Traumas that may have been occurred and may be a traumatic experience now.
And you know what? I think that Kenosha asked a good question. He was like, "What?"
He did.
But like, so after they do all of that, do you deny them or do you accept them? Is that the one you talking about, Chuck? Is that the question?
Yeah. He said, so after all of that, do you deny them or what?
Because I think go ahead, Bart.
Not to cut anybody off, but this is what I think about. This is what I think about Omega, and this is Greeks in total. If you are a candidate,
thank you,
that meets the qualities, I mean the qualifications on paper.
I've got my own.
That meet the qualifications on paper, then given the test that we're talking about, the linear test, if you can pass those, or if you continue to say, like, running a mile may tell you while you're running, because I know I felt this before. I have run several miles and thought, oh, this Omega shit for the birds. Like, in my mind, I thought it. And I almost said, you know what? I ain't finna do this no more.
I ain't doing this.
But there was a point where, man, I'm not gonna let Bert or Chuck finna make me drop. And so if you can push past whatever that point is, then yeah, you make it. If ultimately that's what we're doing now. We're saying if you don't, if you pass whatever I give you, you're gonna be the bros. If your paperwork and stuff is good, you're gonna be the bros. That's the same thing we're doing. We're just doing it in a more organized, less violent, more controlled setting.
I gotta what we're describing is what I think some folks attempted to create through pledge processes.
Yeah.
What we're describing, like CJ began his comments with reimagining. We have reimagined what it looks like to break a person down and build them up. And it's not us breaking, and I'm saying us, I'm talking about the big brothers and big sisters.
Yeah.
We are asking them to break themselves down. We are asking them to share their innermost thoughts and traumas and inconsistencies from whatever through and view them through whatever lens they currently have when they begin. And then by the time they get to a certain point of the process, they now have the camera body is now attached with a new lens, and they're able to zoom in on things, but they're also able to kind of zoom out and see not only how everything that they may be only zoomed in on at one point in their life, they're able to zoom out and be like, everything that I do has an effect on those in front of me, behind me, to the left and to the right of me. That's what I'm hearing. I'm hearing you guys say that. It sounds like a pledge process, but y'all described it from a therapeutic standpoint.
But all of y'all are aware and have probably direct interaction with
that ain't a bad idea.
Let's think about high security jobs prior to the potato peel dude. As you're related to
Agent Orange.
Oh, that boy's stupid.
all of our
Big Donnie,
Lil Donnie with the diaper on. But all of us have friends or people who we've interacted with who work in government. And the higher you go for security clearance, the greater the requirements are.
Yes.
So 1, 2, 3, 4, and I'm assuming based on this, 13 or 14, and even the rest of the orgs. Our organizations are based on selecting the members, the cream of the crop. And I mean, you get some who fall through the wayside, who ain't the best of the options, but
CJ,
theoretically speaking, our orgs are seeking the best of the best, the elitist. And I don't know if y'all want to admit it or not, but we belong to secret organizations for a reason. And our secret organizations, the foundation, call it what you want to, is based on elitism. So that's a whole nother conversation. But anyway, when you're seeking the elite or the best of the best, the cream of the crop, whatever word you want to use, should you not use a criteria that is absolutely strenuous, absolutely critical, absolutely very much detailed in your selection process? So back to what Bart and CJ was saying related to those individuals, when you want to select those membership selection process, why not make it very critical? Why not make it subjective to those who focus on the mentally astute versus the physically astute?
I think
because my experience has always been those who are mentally astute, free your mind and your ass will follow.
But see, once again, our organization, we honor the outest bruh. We don't honor the smart. I'm not saying this is true across the board, but honestly,
I was gonna say Roy Epsilon does.
I was about to say we're a little bit different, but
because that's why we let you make it.
Golly, man. And so
smart
Omega
ass.
in general, we honor the brother can march the longest and the highest, who gets the most women, and who can probably wreck really well. Like those get the status of being a DP, or the one who has traveled all over the country and the world to represent their chapter. They get the status of being considered for a DP position. Like honestly, if you come into an organization, our organization, and let's say you only had, and I hate to say this, and I'm not speaking on totality, but let's say you didn't get no women. Let's say you never moved out of your chapter. Let's say you stayed in your little radius.
Yard dog.
Let's say you really just, let's say you were thin and you really couldn't wreck anything, and you weren't the most popular.
There's some thin brothers in P that beat up.
Well, yeah, you're right.
But you're well adjusted.
But that person probably ain't gonna get considered. Like but if that person had all that and was smart as all get out, like genius, outside of PE, he doesn't make the DP status line. He doesn't make the ADP, because we don't honor that as, we don't always see that as the criteria. What Bert is asking, we're asking for that to be the criteria, though.
Hold on, wait. I fully understand what you're saying, Bart, but I disagree related to the status of our fraternity, because I'm going to give you two examples. How you explain G Stewart?
No, okay. So
how you explain Josh?
There are exceptions to
how you explain Joshua Span?
Dog. There are some exceptions.
Josh Deadman.
Joshua Span.
That been combined two bros.
I did.
There are exceptions to this rule. Like you have some genius level out as bros that can function in any capacity in the level. Like the get the women bros, you got the smoking bros. Like it's some bros that can just mesh everywhere and they do it well.
I was getting ready to say I don't think it's a fair assessment related to our fraternity. Our fraternity is such a amalgamation of like ditch digger to brain surgeons.
I agree with that.
So
Lord have mercy.
But dog,
I'm not disagreeing.
I was like, ain't nothing wrong with the ditch digger, man. That's good. That's some good money, dog.
Dog,
I grew up as a grave digger. That's a bitch.
No.
Your dad was a ditch digger, dog. That's good money.
Dog, it wasn't an accident that I said.
I know.
I dug him by hand.
From grave digger to neurosurgeon. God rest his soul, Deuce 98. Dog, like that nigga is from Orange Mound,
Memphis.
Dog, and not probably. He had a cheat code. My LB, like he had a photographic memory, and this is one of the most astute, one of the most recognized, like my grandma used to say, and anybody out there that's not of the diaspora, you say it, I'll find you and slit your throat. One of super nigga. This dude had a whole degree from Brown University from Orange Mound, Tennessee. And he used to tell me, he used to have these conversations related to our fraternity. Like, I don't like a lot of people in my fraternity. It's hard to like us. We hard to like, but I love y'all because it's
that sound like family.
I don't like it's very few of you. Well, maybe these on here I like y'all, but like Bart, bro, I'd be wanting to punch that dude in his throat, but I love him though, because
That
he
real
like,
talk though. That real talk. Everybody do. It ain't just you. It's everybody that beat me. They don't like me, dog.
but probably, but
that's
what's
why I
so
fight the
crazy?
brothers so much.
But what's so crazy?
Why was I fighting the bro so much?
I don't know,
Because
because it's kind of hard. You know why? It's kind of hard to like your reflection.
hey, look, man, I hate you, man. Look, man.
but
But real talk though, I think this is a good conversation. I think that I think that we have started. Hopefully, whoever came in here, hopefully they will see that it is, and I'm talking more to our organization, and even in your personal organization, it is okay to buck the system when it is needed. It is okay to step outside of the norm to make sure the next black man or black woman doesn't suffer the same pitfalls that have happened in the past. And I even point to the ideal that our founders of the D9 of each individual organization, they were doing just that. They bucked an entire system because they saw something that was not right.
Something
And
great.
something they saw something greater. And I think this conversation, not to put us on a pedestal or anything like that, hopefully this conversation allows more back room, behind closed doors, in dorm rooms conversations so that we can avoid the traumas and frat houses so that we can avoid the traumas,
homecoming
that we pass down intentionally or unintentionally to another black human being. And I think at the end of the day, I think though tragic in nature and in all aspects on every side, to the young men who are being charged, to the passing of this young man, though tragic in all regards, I think it is necessary to have difficult conversations.
That's right.
To make sure that we don't have this conversation ever again.
It needs to be difficult and uncomfortable.
It does. It does.
And that the reality is that while there's room for understanding and there's room for explanation, as we know, in this organization, there's no room for excuses. And so we understand that we must be better.
Yes.
Across the board, we have to be better.
Better every time.
And in order to be, and the only way we get better is by being real about the things that have to be addressed. And then
when you know better, you do better.
Yeah.
Set your feet. Take a brace, man. I think that's where we are right now with it.
Yeah, y'all make sure. Let me take this opportunity to tell everybody, please understand that the gentleman that you see before you, we're speaking from a purple and old royal purple and old gold perspective. But we all have friends that are of the D9 diaspora.
Yeah.
And I'm sure
somebody's therapist.
That's a whole therapist right there. But
retired. So I can do it. Your therapist would be good.
But we've had conversations with people on the D9 diaspora, and the conversations are similar. But let me go back again.
Yeah.
So if this goes out into the social media world, which it will, www. We are just a group of friends having a conversation about our experiences.
Yeah. Real friends.
We do not represent the National Fraternity of Omega Psi Phi's opinion. We are speaking from our opinion.
Right.
And our experience.
As men
and those who have been involved in the D9 organization. Yeah. And when I say real friends, like this gentleman beside me, to the left of me, I am his child's godfather. These dudes on this phone, I have called CJ.
He's so old. He don't even know what he on, dog.
Hello.
This man was born in the 1900s, dog.
I was born in the 1900s in real life. But anyway, this guy, Mr. CJ Lawrence, I have called him for legal advice. And Bart, Me and him share the same amount of letters in our name, and like
That's so funny.
he's a weirdo.
Oh my goodness.
But I fool with these guys, these dudes, and hey, we've had this conversation too. Any of these guys that you see before you tonight,
Love you, man.
I love y'all. But on the flip side of it, this has always been my judgment. If I wasn't at home and Karen, who is my wife, or Caitlin needed something, these dudes can go in my house and I'm not gonna be paranoid about it.
Feel that, dog. That mean a lot right there, big dog.
Yes, sir.
Oh, I meant what I said. And,
Yeah.
and I was intentional about what I said. The tie that binds for these guys that you see, I don't mind them. They gonna check on my daughter.
100%, man.
She
still can't whisper.
And the flip side of this, I'm gonna check on their children. If they need something, it ain't gonna be no huffing and puffing.
Yeah.
It's gonna so aside from the tie that binds related to our fraternal bond, I fool with these. We gonna spend time together, and we probably ain't even gonna talk about our fraternity.
Not at all. And I think
I will tell you this. This how I know we love each other, dog. Because I know we didn't expect to be on here for no 2.5 hours.
But I'm
lost track of time.
Now
2.5 hours. Oh my god.
Now, 2.5 hours.
Caleb Wilson's life deserved a thoughtful conversation, dog.
Yes,
I agree.
Not just conversation, but conversation that could potentially lead to action.
Yes,
I agree.
And look, and I'll close with this. Like we've had real Caitlin
on here, God.
Caitlin, your ass. All right, we gonna test it out. Look, you know what?
Doc, she got
I ain't
Facebook?
Now, Caitlin still has Facebook because she was raised by old people.
That baby old soul. She got Facebook, dog.
Hey, y'all niece 19 now.
That's what we did.
That baby old. That baby was
niece
almost born in
19.
1900s too.
That's what we did.
Nah, get out Caitlin. Get out Caitlin.
She a Katrina baby.
I know we got to wrap it up.
We've had a conversation that has, and Nightcap Knowledge, Mac always says, real talk, real solutions. And I think we've been able to, in this kind of like, open conversation amongst friends around the topic of hazing, we've been able to hold true to real talk and real solutions. Not to say that it's a direct recipe for anybody's chapter, but we used our personal experience with us have literally just having three lines represented from a chapter. So I would say it is about service. It's about being able to say you're willing to serve another person. It's about strength, the strength to humble yourself. But it's about solidarity and being able to say everybody ain't agreeing with us, but you know what? We believe that we need to change, and we need to do it in a way that is radical, and we need to do it in a way that is going to disrupt the trauma and the negative results that we're dealing with and that we're discussing. So there's a greater conversation, and I'm not diminishing or lessening the value of Caleb and the other involved brothers' lives. I'm saying that there's a more macro conversation that we need to have around the collective of Black people living in America and the rise of fascism and white nationalism, because we can't be killing each other through processes that should be building us up and preparing us up for revolution. So I would like to say that we need to hold each other accountable. We need to move forward with like real purpose and intention. And we invite y'all to engage with Nightcap Knowledge, engage with Black with No Chaser. We have so many beautiful and like very, very large projects and visions and real things that are rolling out. We did this because we thought that we needed to. We did this because it was in our spirit. I hope that the folks that tuned in and have listened to this conversation and will listen to this conversation, I hope that you've been able to glean something of value from this conversation amongst friends. And I hope that this won't be your last time coming back. This ain't our last time. We have these conversations amongst each other all the time.
All the time.
All the time. I hope that you have people in your life like the men I have in my life. That's my prayer for you. Whether you may be,
men and women,
man, boy, woman, girl, or anything on the spectrum in between and never mentioned, or we haven't even been in the universe to understand what type of being you might be. I hope that you have people, friends, brothers, comrades
who care enough to challenge your thought process
and
will help you work through your shit, just to keep it 100.
And Chuck, if I can say this, man, I mean, that's beautiful, everything you said. I just want to, I learned a long time ago that after a therapy session, sometimes what's needed is an apology to start the real healing. And so I want to apologize to the families that have been, who are in a position where they don't get a chance to see their loved ones again, from an Omega man, from a Q Dogs, from an organization, though you may never hear it for legal reasons, from an official source.
Hear from us
as
right
an
here.
agent right now, I can speak on PE bros, and I can speak on a lot of good bros.
I'm sorry for your loss.
I am sorry that your child is not coming home.
Caleb,
sorry.
And for those who are out there, damn, Bart, bro.
I know, dog. I just want them to know that we apologize. Hopefully, maybe in the next life you see this and you'll hug us and you'll love us. But I'm sorry. I'm sorry your child is not coming home. I'm sorry that we're using this platform to talk about something so serious. I'm sorry, but I'm also thankful that you raised such a beautiful person and a beautiful human being. And so that's all I want to say, man. I'm through.
We want to take this opportunity to honor Caleb.
And the other brothers as well. I mean, I know it's
right.
Their families are
right.
Gone,
not to. Just
I think it's good to separate them though. Like,
yeah,
you know what I'm saying. Like,
this conversation was sparked by Caleb.
Yeah,
and his transition.
Most definitely.
I just keep referring back, like, that young man's not coming home. And for those of the bros who are paying attention and those who can read in between the lines, I would ask and request that as a national life member, as a district life member, and as a state life member for the state of Mississippi, that the fraternity do right by him. Read in between the lines without going into too much detail about that. His LBs, I pray that your transition or your emotions or your trauma be adjusted and addressed. I pray that the families associated with it all be addressed and made at ease, because it can never be fixed, but it could at least be something that is addressed and made at ease. And please let me take this opportunity to say, those of our family members of the D9, please understand that the 4 representatives that you see before you, we were speaking from our experiences, from the greatest chapter in the fraternity, Rho Epsilon chapter, one of the greatest schools, Tougaloo College, the seat of the civil rights movement in Mississippi. We were speaking from our experience.
Yeah.
Doesn't make us right, doesn't make us definitely don't make us wrong, but we were speaking from our experience. We do not represent the international or the national fraternity. We were just speaking from our opinion and our experience. I feel safe in saying that none of us would change our experiences, but at the end of the day, as men in our 40s, there were some situations that we look at hindsight and we definitely would change. And we would hope that we could take this opportunity so we won't have a conversation related to change.
Right.
Not like this.
I like that. Look, ladies and gentlemen, we appreciate y'all for tuning in, tapping in.
Thanks, Will.
It's been another episode of Nightcap Knowledge, real talk, real issues, real solutions. We've been talking hazing. It's just another conversation amongst friends. Like Bert said, we don't want to let this happen again. Let's put some things in motion. You may have this conversation of another rendition of it that may involve some other people. I don't know. But
Talk with your friends about it.
chop it up with your folk, man. Nightcap Knowledge. Let's go.